So, before moving into the labs, we'll discuss one thing like how the basic, or you can say the traditional way, what we were following earlier to create a project and work on a project. Okay. So, please be in mute. So, for example, we are working on some basic project. Let's say there is an ASP.NET Core project. Okay. So, what we will be doing, for example, I have somewhere, this is, for example, this is Azure DevOps folder. Okay. Now, I created one folder here. Okay. Named projects. Now, what I'll do, I'll go to command prompt. I'm just creating a basic project as of now. Okay. Just to show you the traditional way. Okay. Earlier, what they used to follow. And one by one, how the things will come and how you can make use of DevOps tools. Okay. So, for example, this is a basic project. Let's move to the projects folder. Move to E. Open command prompt first. Then wherever you are, wherever the path, you can directly click on wherever you want to create the project. You can go to that particular path or drive. So I selected E drive as of now. And then in the E drive, I'll move to that particular path where I created the projects folder. Now, for example, inside the projects folder, I'll be creating a project. Now, let's take like hello world demo. Just for an example, this is one. Okay, very simple example. So what we'll do, we'll create a directory inside that. Okay. So MD, MD means make directory. Okay. So we're creating a new directory inside the projects folder and the name is hello world demo. Okay, simple. And then what we'll do, we'll go inside. So CD, change directory. Okay. We'll go inside that. So there is a hello world demo folder created. See, inside the projects, there is a hello world demo created. Now what? We'll create a .NET as we have seen that creating a ASP.NET Core MVC project or application is a simple web app. Okay. So ASP, which is based on ASP.NET Core. So now what we'll do, we'll run one command to create, since we are having a ASP.NET Core MVC project. So we'll be create a solution file first. So what is solution file? Solution file is, so if you are creating some .NET project, then you have to create one solution file. Solution file is the main file of that particular project. Okay. So .NET new solution. Now what this command will do, this will create a new solution file. Okay. So the template solution file was created successfully. Now this solution file is what it is. This is a kind of template project. Now inside this template project, whatever you want to package or restore, you can restore that particular project and you can work on that project. So this is a template solution file. Now, if you go back to the hello world demo, you can see that inside we have created a solution file. Now, what we will do, we'll create a project and we'll add the project to this solution file. Okay. We'll add the project. So what we'll do, .NET new MVC hello world app. Okay. We'll create this project. So maybe sometimes, actually, I'll provide you the notepad, okay, so that you might not face the difficulty. Okay. So .NET new MVC. Now MVC is the model view controller. Okay, model view controller project is a kind of web app only. Okay, so inside the hello world demo, you will create an app which is known as hello world app. Okay, the type of web app. So .NET news MVC. MVC means model view controller hyphen hyphen what type of app you are creating, name hello world app, and you have to provide the version of the .NET. So as of now, here it is written version net 6.0. Okay. Or if this is not working, this command is not working, then you can mention the name of the framework. Okay. Framework net 6.0. So somewhere it will work as version net 6.0 directly, and somewhere it will, you have to mention the framework parameter. Okay. Hyphen hyphen framework. Okay. So you can try with this also, the version net 6.0. If this is not working, you can go with this. Okay, I'll use this one. Okay, so the template ASP.NET Core Web App Model View Controller was created successfully. Means we have created the web app successfully. This template contains technologies from parties other than Microsoft. Okay, now there is some third party ASP.NET Core application link from where it has been created. And what it is doing, processing post creation, it is restoring. And what it created a project file inside the hello world app. What project file? CS project, .cs project. Okay, so if you go back inside the hello world app, you might see here hello world app.cs project is the file which is created. Okay, so we created, first we created a folder for the project. Inside that, we created a solution file, and then we created a MVC type of app, model view controller app, that is hello world app. Now what we will do, we'll add the solution file to the hello world app. Means whatever project we created, we add our solution file. Now that solution file is already a template, and what we'll do, we'll restore that template with our hello world app. Okay, so there is a command .NET solution add. So this will add the solution file to the hello world app. So So this is the very basic what earlier they are doing when there was no DevOps, nothing. So this way they were creating the or project. Okay. So project Hello World app, hello world.cs project added to the solution. So we have added this to the solution. Now we'll go inside the Hello World app. So let's go inside the Hello World app. CD means change directory and Hello World app. Now we are inside the Hello World app. So if you go inside the Hello World app, you will be able to see this. Now you can see different files inside the Hello World app. There is a controller file, model file, object file, properties file, views file, www root. So there will be a web page inside this www root, inside CSS, library, JS. Okay. And then there is app settings development.json. Okay. If you want to put some development parameters, then app settings.json. So for example, if you want to connect something, for example, you are connecting the backend or something. Okay. So you have to give the properties, you have to give the variables, you have to give the data inside these files. You have to mention these things. Okay. So for that purpose, these files are created. Okay. Now what we will do, first we created the solution, then we created the app, Hello World app. Then we added the solution to the Hello World app. Now, once we added the solution, so with that template solution file, there will be dependencies. Okay, .NET project dependencies. So now what we will do, we'll restore those dependencies. Okay, restore those. So there is a command called .NET restore. Okay. Now, in when you work on core DevOps, this is all backend, whatever is done in the backend. So, for example, if you are creating a project using DevOps, okay, so at the backend side, you are seeing the pipeline, you are seeing the Azure pipeline. The pipeline is running. At the backend side, all these happens. Okay, so let's go here and .NET restore. This will restore our application. Okay. Determining projects to restore. All projects are up to date for restore. Okay. Now what we will do? We'll build our project. Now there are two ways to build our project. One is in the debug mode you can build, and one is the release mode you can build. So debug mode means if I run my project in the debug mode, what will happen? The project will start. Okay. And this will be in the debug mode. This command prompt will be in the debug mode. Okay. Means it will be running with the command prompt only. So if you run this .NET, if you run this command, simply .NET build, that will run your project in the debug mode. I'll show you how does that happen. Okay. So .NET build. So now what it will do? It will build my project. So how it is building? So it is building using the build tool. What is the build tool? Since we are working on the ASP.NET Core, so here MS build is the build tool. Okay, MS build. So how I am able to run all these .NET commands? So first you need to install .NET in your system. Okay, directly go to the site. From there you can choose and you can download the .NET framework. Then you will be able to run all these commands. Okay, so that is not a big deal. You can do that. Okay, so, and that's why I didn't focus on that. Okay, now so we build our project. Now you can run your project using .NET Run after building your project. Okay. So now if I'll run the project using .NET Run, so you can see that my application is running in the debug mode. Here you are not seeing the next line. Means it is running inside the debug mode. And where it is running, you can see that now listening port. What is the listening port? Where my application is hosted. On which port you can it will listen that particular means whosoever the user will be coming, he can go to that particular listening port. Okay. For example, if you use HTTP protocol, so for HTTPS, it is 7164 port number where my application is running. And for HTTP, it is 5213. If you click on any of these, if you click on any of these, okay, okay 7164 localhost 7164. So you can see that we have created an application, an MVC app, which is known as Hello World app. It is a simple application. As of now, there is no login page, nothing. Just a simple application. Okay, which we created in our local with some using some commands, .NET commands. Okay, so in this way, traditional way of hosting an application without the use of any tools. Okay, anything. So this is Hello World app. Now you can see that this app is running in the debug mode. Now, if I press Control C or anything, this app will shut down. Application will shut down. Okay. If I press anything, since it is running in the debug mode. So I press Control C here, Control C, and you can see my app is shut down now. Now, if you call that 7164, you will not be able to get the application. Now, if you call this 7164, you will not get the application now. See, site is not being reached. Why this is so? Because we ran this application in the debug mode. Okay. Now we press the Control C. We are out of that debug mode. So application also stopped. Now, how to make sure how you can run this application in not in the debug mode? Okay. So for for that purpose, what you have to do, you have to build the project and then you have to place the artifacts somewhere. Okay. And from those artifacts, what you can do, you can deploy those artifacts and that will run your application into some environment. Okay. Some application server, some web server or anywhere. So as of now till here, you can see that we have restored our application, we have built our application, we have run our application and the application was running in the debug mode. But what if I don't want to run in the debug mode like this? So for that purpose, we have to, after build, we have to package our artifacts. Okay. So this was in the debug mode. Now, what is the other mode to run that application? That is in the release mode. So what we will do now, we'll build our application in the release mode. Okay. So if you build your application in the release mode, sorry, CLS, okay, clear screen. Now .NET build hyphen hyphen. What is the configuration now? Release configuration. Okay. So build is succeeded in the release configuration. Okay. Now .NET run. We will not run the application. Now since we have not built the application in the debug mode, so we will not use .NET run. What we'll use directly? We'll directly use .NET publish. So whatever is built using our application, whatever is built, whatever configuration is built, whatever files are produced after the build, we'll put all those files or we'll collect all those files inside a folder known as publish. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll create a folder here, which is known as publish folder. Okay. Here you can give. So .NET publish. We are not running an application as of now. Okay. We are just publishing. So projects folder, right? Projects. Okay. So Azure DevOps, projects and publish. For this, I think I need to create a publish folder here. Now, if you go back to the publish folder, inside the publish folder, what you can see now. So artifacts you can see hello world app.dll, hello world app.exe, an exe file, a DLL file is produced. Now you don't have to run the project from the debug mode. What you can do, you can directly go to, now this is the whole environment. This publish folder is the whole environment. Okay. Everything is available inside the publish folder, which is required to run that application. Every dependency, everything, app settings JSON, app settings development.json. Okay. Hello world DLL, hello world app.exe, web config, every possible thing which is required to run this application is available inside this publish folder. Now I don't have to uh, run that command .NET run. I can directly call this hello world app.dll and I also don't have to build every time. Once I have built using the release mode and I have published my artifacts, so this publish folder is enough to run my application itself. So now what you can do, you can go inside the publish folder. Now I don't have to follow all these steps again. Once my application is created, once I created the publish folder, I can go inside the publish folder and I directly call my app hello world app.dll using .NET command. So when I call this, see my application started. Now the port number has changed. Okay. So every time you will stop your application, start our application, it will always change the listening port. Okay. Earlier it was some 7123. Now it is 5000 and 5001. So again, if you will go, so again, if you will do HTTP, if you will do 5000, localhost 5000 like this, see your application started running. Now from this time, since you have uh, consumed all the artifacts in a publish folder. Now, if you want to run the application, you just want to call that DLL file. That's it. And it will run your application using all these dependencies. You don't have to build again and again. You don't have to restore again and again. Okay. You don't have to run that command .NET run, .NET restore, .NET build. Just call this file. So now what we do? So we have to deploy some project artifacts into some environment. What we will deploy? So we'll generally what we do, we create zip files. Okay. For example, now for this publish folder, we'll produce a zip file. We'll create a zip file. Okay. So like this publish.zip. And what we'll do, we'll deploy this file into some server, application server, web server, anywhere, any environment. Okay, we'll deploy this. Since the package is involved, like I told you that whenever we build application based on different, uh, you can say frameworks, like sometimes Node.js. So there will be a npm file produced, okay, .npm. Then if we build in Java, so there are packages like .ear, .war, .jar file, .jar files. All these are packages. Similarly, we build our application in .NET framework. Okay. So what the artifact we need to produce a zip file, which will be deployed into some environment. And what is inside this zip file? Those DLL files, which are required to run your application using all those dependencies which are present. Now you can directly deploy this publish.zip into some environment and you can run your application. So like this was the traditional way earlier of developing some application and deploying everything manually using commands and all, command prompt. Nowadays, what happens? So nowadays everything is uh, automated. Mostly everything is automated. Like they will make use of this version control like Git. They will push their code. Whatever they want to update, they will update over here. Okay, they will push the code to the remote repo. Remote repo means your Azure DevOps. Okay, and then there they will work upon it. They will create some pipelines. And why they will create pipelines? In the pipelines, they will do nothing. They will run these commands only. .NET restore, .NET build, all these things. All thing is happened used by the use of pipelines only. Okay. So that is all automated. That is all automated. And that is called CI automation, continuous integration. So as soon as you push the code into the remote repo from your local, your application will start to build and restore and you will be able to deploy your application. That is CI and CD. Okay. Now, as of now, this was a simple project. This was a very simple project you created. Now, let's talk about source control. Okay. So for the source control, now, for example, if you want to use source control, I'll closing this application. Okay. I'll press Control C now. I'll move to hello, hello world demo. Okay. Hmm. So now let's talk about source control. Now I've explained in the first class what is a source control or version control, like how you can control the version of your code, all those things. Now the very popular one we talk about is Git version control. Now if I run this Git version control here in my command prompt, you will be able to see that I already have this. Okay, Git version 2.4.2.0 Windows version. Okay, how this came upon. So what you have to do for Windows, I mentioned where you have to go. HTTPS, you have to go to this site, Git site, Git SCM. Okay, so here using the Git site here, download for Windows. So you can see the latest one. As of now, you can see click here to download the latest 2.43.0. As of now, I am having 2.42.0. Okay, version of Git for Windows. So what you can do, you can go with if you have 32-bit system, you can go with 32-bit installer. If you have 64-bit, you can go with 64-bit installer. Okay, so once you click this, this will open an installer file and everything will be set up. You can install, like you install some applications, like you download the applications, you double click install all those applications, so everything is set up. So using this you can set up, and this will download an installer file in your downloads, and by double clicking that installer file you will be able to install the Git in your Windows system. So once the Git is, you install Git in your Windows system, you can open the command prompt and you will run git hyphen hyphen version. And while installing, you have to enable this. They will ask you like whether you want to run Git as a CLI and all. CLI means command line tool. Okay, so you can check all those things while installing the Git. So git hyphen hyphen version, it will show you the Git version in your Windows system. If someone is working on a Linux machine, okay, maybe someone having Mac machine or Linux machine. So instead of Windows, you can go to the Mac link. Okay, there is a Mac link also I've mentioned. Okay, you can go to the Mac link and download for the Mac OS. Similarly, for the Linux, you can download. Okay, if you are working on a Linux machine. So this is how you will install Git in your local, so just for the learning purpose only. Now to initialize local Git, follow below commands. Now, and since we know that this Git is a distributed version control. Now, what is a distributed version control? So I told you that in the distributed version control, whatever is there in the server, whatever repository is there in the central server, we pull that repository in our local so that every person is having a copy of the repository in their local. So if we want to get the copy of that repository, that server, okay, Git server in our local, what we have to do? We have to initialize the Git, okay, initialize the Git into our local. So how you can do that? So there is a command called git init. Okay, there is a command called git init. Okay, so what this will do? This will initialize a local repository in your. So if you do git init here and run this, so initialized empty Git repository in Hello World demo. Now if you go back, you can see that there's a hidden empty .git repository. And if I click this .git, it will be having all the files related to Git repository. If you go inside, you can see that Git hooks, Git info, objects, reference, configuration file, description, head. All these files are related to Git repository. It has created once we run the git init command. So it has initialized a Git repository here, a local Git repository. Now, if I run here git one git command git status. Now, how git works? So if we talk about git, so very first thing you have to initialize in your local. Initialize git repository in local. So we already did that. Okay. Now, how will Git know? Since you want to put everything or push everything in the Git, okay? So very first thing is that Git should know that there are files with you, some files which you want to push into the Git. So Git should know, right? So there are three things. First thing is untracked files, okay? Now, very first thing is your working copy, okay? Working copy. Means working copy means where you are working, the file in which you are working, that is known as the working copy. Okay, so you have a working copy. See, all those files are, as of now, say all these files are working copy. Hello World app, all the files inside the Hello World app, all these are working copy as of now. Okay, you are working in this project, so these are working copy. Now there are three things. One is working copy where you are working. Then there is untracked files. Untracked. Untracked means the working copy in which you are working as of now, they are untracked. And how you will see the untracked files? Untracked files and folders. If you are running a command known as git status, it will show you the status of this git. Okay. And as of now, you can see that there is a untracked file written. Means git does not know about these files. Those files are known as untracked files. Okay, you can see that hello world app and hello world demo solution file, these are as of now untracked files. Means untracked means git does not know about these files. Now there is a command known as git add. So for untracked files, how you will come to know? You have to run git status. Okay, then you will come to know about untracked files. Once you run git add dot means current directory. So then all the files will be added to Git local folder. So all files will be added to local Git. And those files will be known as tracked files now. Tracked files. Okay. Folders. And once Git knows about the files and folders, what you can do? You can commit those files and folders to the Git. So there is a command known as git commit. So will commit all files and folders to Git local repo. And once you do it to your, once you commit it to your local repo, then what you can use? You can use git push now. Okay. You can use git push. So this will push everything what you are having into your remote repository. Okay. So let's see how you can do one by one. Okay. So git init we have done. Now there is a, you might have seen there is a .git ignore file. What is this about? Dot git ignore. So the files which you don't want to tracked by Git. So as of now, you can see that files are, as of now, there is a untracked file. But if as I run the git add command, what will happen? As soon as I run the git add command, all the files will be tracked by Git and they will be shown into green color, means tracked by Git, tracked files. But what if I don't want some files to be tracked by Git? So for that purpose, the functionality given by Git is .gitignore file. Now, if we run this .gitignore file or create this .gitignore file, so what will happen? It will create a .gitignore file, and whatever you mention inside the .gitignore file, that will not be tracked by Git. So file and specify the list of folders and file which you don't want Git to track. Now, how you will come to know that what files which we uh, need not to be tracked by Git. So for every project you will find here, if you search for the GitHub, okay, so GitHub, write GitHub and git ignore git ignore. And since we are working in the .NET, so ASP.NET. So git ignore for ASP.NET MVC. So you can see that whatever files you don't want or you want to ignore from Git, okay, all those files are mentioned here. Similarly, for each and every project, it you can get this in GitHub, okay, that whatever files you want to ignore. So you can go to any public project where they have maintained, like here it is ASP-M for MVC project. What is needed to add inside the git ignore file, which should not be tracked by Git. So these files are there, files, packages, all these things. So from the compiled source .com file, .class file, .dll file, .exe file, .pbb file, .dll.config file, cache files, SUO file, these should not be tracked. So they have mentioned. So like this, you can get to know about the files which you want to put inside the git ignore for each and every project. You can search for that, okay, if you don't know. Now, as of now, just I'll let you show. You can just run the command and create a git ignore file. Okay. I think this will not create, no. Directly here you have to create. So since it is a local project, you can directly create a file here. Okay. You can write this or git ignore. Now you can see that the symbol of the git ignore file. Now whatever you want to add here, you can open the file and you can add. See? So this is opened by the VS Code. Okay. So whatever you want to add here, you can add those in the name of the files and those will not be tracked by Git. Now what we'll do, we'll add the files git add dot. Okay. Now, if you run the git status as of now, you can see the files are untracked. Git ignore also. Okay. Now what you can run? Git add dot. You can see that all the files are green color now. Means whatever was there, now all the files are tracked by Git. So there were many files. There were many files. Okay, inside Hello World app, solution file, Git ignore file. All those files are there. All are now tracked by Git. Since it is green, earlier they are all red in color. Now they are green in color. Okay. So means everything is now tracked by Git. Now, after that, what you have to do? You have to commit this to the Git local repository. So there is a command called git commit -m init. Now, git commit means it will commit. And what is this -m for? This is for message. So see how you will track whosoever committed, what it is, what anyone has committed. So you have to provide some message, commit message, so that one should understand, okay, this person has committed using this message. And for what purpose you have committed, you can provide that message. For example, we are providing here initial commit, means we are doing the first time commit. So I've written initial commit over here. Okay. So if I run this git commit -m initial commit, now everything is committed now. Now if you will run git status on branch manager. So on branch, see, as of now, this is master branch. So on branch master, nothing to commit. Working tree is clean. So here working tree is clean. Okay. Means everything is tracked, everything is committed. That's why the message came here is everything is clean. Working tree is clean. Okay. Note if asked to authenticate with user now, before running this, before running this, if you are running or installing Git first time, you might be asked to authenticate yourself. So what you have to do? You have to, if, so here is a note I have written. As of now, I have not been asked for authentication. Why? Because I have run projects many times. So my Git has been added over here. Okay. So it has not been asked for authenticate. But if you will run at your side, if you are running Git for the first time, it will ask, here it will give a note. If asked for to authenticate with username and user email, please use below commands. So if it is asked, if it is giving some error, so for authentication. So before running commit command, what you have to do? You have to run git config. So this will this will add your user email and username to the git config file. Okay. So what command you have to run? Git config --- global user.email, and then you have to provide your email using which you will be creating your Azure DevOps account. Okay. That email you have to provide, and git config --- global user.name, and then you have to provide your username, means email and the username. So I have this email. I have created my Git account using this email. So I've provided my email. Okay. abhishektrainings30@gmail.com and the name. Okay. I've provided all these things. So you will provide your user email and the user.name. And here inside the bracket, you will write your name. And after once this is done, then you will run git commit if it is asked for authentication first. Now, after this, if you run git status, you can see that everything is nothing to commit, working tree is clean. Okay. Also, you can check for logs. So if someone have run the commands to push some code and you want to check the logs. So there's a command called git log. You can see that as of now, head means head means the current branch, wherever it is pointing. So where the commit has done, that is head, okay, master branch as of now. So you can see that commit, and this is the commit ID. This is the commit ID. So using commit ID only, one should be able to come to know that something has pushed using this commit ID. So if you are tracing the commit ID, okay, and you have to search for commits, you can trace using the commit ID. So not whole commit ID you have to give first 5 to 6 letters only, and you can trace. So git log will give you logs. So you can see that commit ID, this one, where the commit has done to the master branch. Who was the author who did the commit? So my name is coming. And what is the date and time when the commit was done? So January 30th, time 8:57, the commit was done. And what was the commit message? Initial commit. Okay. So git log will display all these things. Okay. Now there is one more command. Say for example, there are many commits. Many commits has been done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number of commits has been done. So what will happen? There will be many commits. It will shown like this. Now, if I want the log in one liner means only the commit ID and all. That's it. So you can run git log hyphen one line. So it will provide you the one line comments. Sorry. See, you can see that the commit ID now 5 to 6, 7 words are there of the commit ID, where it is done, and the message. Simple one liner log. So if you are having hundreds of logs, then how you will run? So you can run git log one line, means one by the other line. If it will give like this, then your space will be filled up. You will not be able to track it. But in one liner, it is easy to track. Okay. Now there is a command known as git branch. So as of now, what we are doing, you can see that as of now, there's a master branch. This is the master branch. Okay. So whatever we are doing, whatever we are working on is everything inside the master branch only. Everything inside the master branch. Now you can change the name of the branch. So for example, you want to rename the master branch into the main branch. So how you can do? Git branch hyphen m and main hyphen m main. Now if you will run git branch now, you can see that my master branch has changed to the main branch. Whatever you can name it production, you can name it stage, whatever you want to rename, you can rename your branch. Okay. Now git remote add. Git remote add. Now after doing the commit and everything, what is the main goal? To push my code to the remote repository. Push my code to the remote repository. So what for that purpose, what you have to do? You have to add your remote repository URL first. So git remote add origin HTTPS. So this is my some old you can say remote repo URL. Okay. Now what you can do? You can copy this, the name I'm copying just now here. Now this is the first time we are going to the Azure DevOps organization. Now what you have to do, go inside the portal, search for Azure DevOps organization. Azure DevOps organization. You can see that Azure DevOps organization. Click on that. Now I can go to my organizations, but if you don't have any organization, so click on this my organization DevOps organization here. So it will ask you first. It will ask you first. So if you will create your account with this gmail.com, so you might face some issues, okay? Permission issues and all. I'll recommend to create for just for learning purpose. I recommend to create your account using this member account. What is this member account? If you go to the DevOps portal, if you go inside your Entra ID, so as you have created your Azure DevOps account, so inside the Entra ID, inside the users, a user might have created your username. And you can see that the username is onmicrosoft.com. Means this identity is provided to you using Microsoft only. And this Gmail identity, abhishektrainings30@gmail.com. Since this is a third provider ISP, ISP means Internet Service Provider. Sorry, not ISP. You can say that this identity provider. Okay, this is a third person identity provider, Gmail. So you might face difficulty in running the project in pipelines. You have to opt for go for different permissions. But since this user is native to Microsoft. Native means Microsoft only created this user for you. And since this is created by Microsoft, the identity is provided by Microsoft. How you will come to know identity is provided by Microsoft? You can see that at last on Microsoft.com. Here at last you can find that gmail.com. So identity provider is Gmail here, but here the identity provider is Microsoft only. So to run the applications or DevOps services inside the Microsoft with the Microsoft ID, you will not face any permission issues. And since your user, the role of this user is a global administrator. See, you can see global administrator means he can do anything. Okay. So always create your DevOps account using your member account. Don't create with this account. Okay. So I have created with my member account only. So choose the member account. Once you choose the member account here, so a page will come. So as of now, you can see that it is showing me one organization here. It's showing me one organization. If you won't see any organization here, in the central, there will be a button. There will be a button in the central that create your organization. So you have to press that button if you don't have any organization. Before that, you have to choose from which account you have to create your organization. For example, if you go to the drop down on the left hand side, it will show you Microsoft account. If you have any B2C account, it will show you that B2C account, and it will show you a default directory. Always create the organization in the default directory only. Default means this on Microsoft.com. If you go to the Microsoft.com, switch to the Microsoft.com, see, it is Gmail account. So as I haven't created any organization with the Gmail account, you can see that a button is over here, coming over here, create new organization. So as soon as I click on this, it will create a new organization, but you don't have to create your organization with the Microsoft account. Always create it with the default directory. Okay. So my default directory is this one on Microsoft.com. So since I already created an organization, okay, long back, so you will be getting some button in between to create an organization. As soon as you click on that, it will create an organization for you. So as soon as you click on that, it will show you get started with Azure DevOps, and you will continue that. So it has taken some default name for the organization as of now, new organization you can see. But you can give any name. You can give any name, okay? Where the DevOps project will host out. So you can choose any name, okay? India, Canada, Brazil, wherever you want to host your Azure DevOps, you can choose it. And then you can give the captcha, okay? And you can continue. This will create Azure DevOps organization for you. See, a new organization has been created now. Earlier, what I was using is this one, okay, where I already have some projects. Now, the new one has created. And it is prompting you to create a project over here. Now, for example, what you can do, you can copy like this, hello world demo, hello world demo. Now, you can give the project name. If you want to give description, you can give. What is this public and private? Public means available to public. Anyone from the internet, if you choose public, anyone from internet will be able to create your see your project, like in the GitHub. For example, I've searched for this GitHub, Git MVC, ASP.NET MVC Git Ignore file. Okay. So someone created this project. Inside this, he mentioned that Git Ignore file, all those things. So this person has created this and it is available publicly. This project is available publicly. Anyone can search for it and see it. So similar way, if you want to create your project, but always what you will do, you will always create a private project. Okay. You will never create a public project. Always create a private project only. So a private project, public projects are okay. Public projects are disabled for your organization. Okay. So from the settings, go to the organization settings and if you go to projects, as of now, there are no projects, but I think permissions or not process. So there is a setting from where you can enable or disable public projects. Okay. So that's what I'm checking for. From the policies, you can see that allow public projects. As of now, in the security policies, it has been made off. That's why I am not able to see the public projects. Now, if I enable this here, save, and if I go back to my organization, now I can mention hello world demo here, and I can create the project as public also. Okay. So you will always be creating a private project only. Don't go for public. And then go to advanced, and here you will choose the version control. Now I told you that in Azure repos or in Azure DevOps, what happens? It provides you both. It provides you centralized version control also. It provides you distributed version control also. For distributed version control, they are using Git method. Okay. And from where this Git method is implemented? From the GitHub only. Okay. And for centralized version control, they are providing you TFVC, Team Foundation Version Control. And from where they have taken this method TFVC? From Team Foundation Server, TFS. Okay, this is centralized one. So you can go to accordingly, whatever project you want to create with whatever method, centralized or distributed. Okay. Most of the times, 95% of the times you will go with Git only. Now, some companies which are having some old code and that they used centralized version control. Only those companies they go for centralized version control. Okay. Since they don't want to migrate from the old to the new. Okay. Method. Okay. So they are going for TFVC. Or they were already working on TFS and now they have switched to Azure. So they will choose TFVC if they don't want to migrate completely. So version control is Git here. And what is now work item process? So some work item process you might be seeing here. Agile, Basic, CMMI, Scrum, some. So as of now, just to push this code, let's choose Basic. We'll discuss this one. Okay, we'll discuss Agile, Basic. Okay. So these are processes, project process. What process you want to follow? We'll discuss this. Okay, don't worry. Okay. Say for example, I'm choosing Basic as of now. Okay, let it be Basic, and I'll create my project here. Now you can see that Hello World demo project is created. Now, what all components you are seeing here? Overview, boards, repos, pipelines, test plans, artifacts. We'll discuss all these. Okay, leave it as of now. As of now, I'm just looking to push my code from here. I'm looking just to push my code from here. So what do I need? I need repository, repos. I'll go to the repos. Now you can see that if you want to clone some project from this repository to your local computer, you can use this URL, clone to your computer. If you want to push an existing repository from the command line, I want to push my existing repository from the command line to this repo. So you can see that there is a command over here, push an existing repository. Always go for HTTPS, don't go for SSH. Okay. In Linux, if you have Linux machine, then you can go for SSH. Otherwise, what you have to do, if you go for SSH, you have to map the keys in Linux. Okay. So 2, 3 steps involved over there. Okay. To match the keys and all. Okay. So always go for HTTPS. Copy this command. Now, once you copy this command, I'll remove this one now. Okay. I'll let it be. So once I copied, you can see that it has the URL of my new project or new organization. Earlier, it was this organization. Okay. Now it has my new organization, my new project, and I have chosen what method? Git method. Okay. And it is Hello World demo, the project I created using the Git method. So what I'll run here, git remote add and this. So this will add my project URL, git remote add. Now what I can do? git push hyphen u, where from the origin. What is the origin? My master branch, my main branch, and where I'm pushing all. Okay. So git push origin. This is the first time you will do. Very first time. When you are pushing your code, git push hyphen u origin. In the origin, I have mentioned this URL. Okay. So as soon as I push this one, it will ask me to authenticate. Okay. So I'll authenticate. I'll click on choose my. Now, if you go to the remote repo, now you will click on the repos. You will see the project. Inside the project, you will see all the files. Hello world app.gitignore, hello world demo.solution file. Inside hello world app, you will find bin, controllers, models, object properties, view. Everything is now here inside the Azure repo. And you can see that we have changed from master branch to main branch. So here also a branch is created, which is known as main only. And if you check the commit, the initial commit is shown here. Click on that commit. What commit has been done? So all the files which were the part of the commit, you will see a plus sign everywhere. Means all those files are committed to the Git. Whatever files is having the plus sign, all those files are committed to the Git. And if you will remove some file or some line from the file, it will be showing you as a minus. Okay. So as of now, everything is shown as a plus since you committed all files into the Git. So this is like how you can create a basic project from your local, how it was created with the traditional way. A project is created from the traditional way. Okay. And how it is used, how it is pushed to the Git. And now from here, the journey will start. Okay. This is how a project works. Now, when I'll go to the lab, so now you will be already knowing that how a project is created and how a project is pushed. Okay. So now we will be working with a template project now. Okay. So there is a template project, eShop. So it is a e-commerce website. Okay. So you'll be using that, you can say code of eShop on web. You can see that if I click on this, if I copy this project is taken from the GitHub only. Okay. So provided by Microsoft Learning, you can see that. Okay, it's a template project. So all these files are there. It is a type of e-commerce project. So you can see this type of website will be displayed when you will deploy all these project and all. Okay, e-commerce website. So we'll use.
Abhishek,
Uh-huh.
are we done?
We are done now. I'm just closing it only. Okay.
It's already 9:20.
Yeah, sure. No worries, no worries. We are wrapping it. Okay. So I just told you this basic project just to make an understanding how we can create a project, how the project was created earlier and how we can push it to the Git and how we can, from there, how we make use of Git. Now, from day after tomorrow onwards, we'll be using this lab project and we'll run all the Git commands and all using labs. Okay. So you will come to understand what commands we are running in the Git and why we are running those commands and all those things. Okay. So this is about that. Okay. So from all the basics of the Azure DevOps, we'll be starting here and we'll cover everything for Azure DevOps in this lab. Okay. So that is it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.